Hello, and welcome to this new episode of Heartful Insights. Today's episode is going to be about small steps and big changes, how we can make small steps to get closer to God, and how they can have a huge influence to our relationship with Him. We're going to basically be answering Yasmin and I to three main questions, and I hope it's gonna be useful for you, inshallah. So we'll start with the first question for you, Yasmin. So it's gonna be around the subject, basically. Why does Allah love small, consistent deeds more than big ones done rarely? If you can give us your insights about this.
The first thing I would like to start with is the fact that the heart is a muscle, exactly like the rest of our muscles that we go to the gym or try to upkeep through consistent physical education. It's the same thing with our heart. And this is exactly what being consistent in our deen, um, the heart keeps changing. It's ebb and flow. Sometimes our Iman is really at the top, sometimes it's not. And the only way for us to keep steady and having this resilience is by practicing consistency with our actions to keep that connection alive with God. That's what I would start with.
Yes, definitely. I share the same opinion, and I think it also follows the hadith of our Prophet ﷺ when he said that the most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, even if they are small. And I think that's why we feel big differences when we just, get to do our prayers on time, 5 times a day. And sometimes you find that people who just stick to that and are really careful about that without adding a lot, but really being very careful about these 5 prayers, it shows that the fact that we are present doing these things that God asked us to do, even if they are just 5 times a day, and maybe you don't pray a lot at night, or maybe you don't do a lot of things that aren't really an obligation, you feel like you are present and you're really genuine and you're really recharging and connecting to God and being genuine. And I think I personally feel like sometimes I can be doing a lot, but I'm not as present as some other times when I'm just doing the basics, but doing them, being really serious and disciplined about them and present, more importantly. And it also was interesting for me when I was doing a course lately, and it talked about how building habits in a really healthy way for us to keep up with them would need three very important components, which are uh, for the habit to be measurable, doable, and repeatable. And it's exactly what we have in our religion. Like we have specific times to pray. We know that, for example, it's 2 rakats in the morning, it's four, it's three in the Maghrib. So it's very specific and it's something repeatable. It's very doable to take 5 to 10 minutes every 3 or 4 hours. And it shows that it's the best way to be consistent and disciplined. And also, it's the best way to build the habit, which is one of the hardest thing to do when you're starting something. So, as I said, the miraculous thing, in my opinion, is that this hadith of our Prophet ﷺ talks exactly about the best way to rewire our brain. The fact that we can do small things, but with the repetition that builds actually neural pathways. And this is the easiest way to actually for us rewire our brain. and to make it easier for next time. So I feel like God is promoting the fact that we need to start by doing small things on a daily basis because it's the best way for us to be closer and for us to make it easier each and every time and to rewire our brain with his words is the best thing that we can do because it's like all about gratefulness, about being present with the most powerful, the most compassionate. The like we can go on and on with his words, but I think it's a miracle in itself. This hadith.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I guess we'll jump to question number two, and it's the question that can be the most useful for people listening to this podcast, which is how can we bring this principle into our daily routines, especially when life feels busy or disconnected, which is very much the case nowadays. So if you can tell me what you think, Yasmin, about this, please.
Yeah, okay. So you opened up by talking about prayer, right? And praying 5 times a day, as we know, is the basis for all Muslims to at least have a balanced emotional state to start from. So that, in my opinion, should be a non-negotiable. That should be a non-negotiable from the get-go. So like praying 5 times a day should be your way of building and nurturing this connection that you have with the creator. And then what I would suggest is start by something that truly makes you feel a strong connection. And this differs from person to person. Let's say, for example, the morning and evening adhkar, right? For most people, the reason why they feel so powerful, it's because they have some du'as that feel complete. You know, it's like when you say the morning adhkars, it's like you have ensured your protection from evil, from like sudden um, sudden events that might sweep you off your feet in a negative way, you know, and ensuring that you will be protected by God, whatever happens throughout your day. You know that you are in a bubble. This does not mean that nothing bad is going to happen, you know, like life happens, but I'm mostly talking about the emotional agility and the emotional resilience that you need to flow on top of that day instead of struggling within the events of the day and struggling with what is happening. Instead, when you do those adkars, for example, then you know that you are muhassan. Tahsin means you literally have a shield all over you. It's like things might still happen around you, but they're not gonna affect you as much because now you have God's invisible shield protecting you. So the reason why I started with these daily adhkars is that you can still have a level of flexibility around them. Let's say you're driving to work or you know riding the bus, whatever, you can still like listen to these adhkars and really tune yourself with them. And there are plenty of tracks of people with really beautiful voices that make you feel safe and relaxed while listening. Another person, for example, might feel the power of gratitude, probably like journaling at the end of every day. And I know how powerful this is, especially when we know the reward that comes with shukr. Um, it's clearly stated in the Quran by Allah, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُم. Meaning, like the law here is crystal clear. The more you are grateful, the more you're gonna have to be grateful for. That's it. So, for instance, someone who feels comfortable writing might find this to be a daily practice that makes them feel more and more closer to God, and help them build that unshakable faith um, that we are trying to really achieve at the end of the day. Like, this is the purpose of this whole podcast. Um, so, I mean, these are two examples, and I'm gonna let you jump in and add some other suggestions. I know there are plenty, but we're trying to find um, some that might fit into everybody's days, and that won't take that much time, and that would still make a huge, huge, huge difference. So I'll let you.
Yeah, definitely. I think you talked about the basics. I think you talked about the basics that we are we have to do, and I think that's the beauty of Islam as well, because it is clearly stated even in the Quran that there is a difference between things that we are not, I don't want to say obliged, but we need to be disciplined about, because it's good for us, such as prayer, such as adkar, that are very important to protect us, etc. And since you talked about the most important things for me as well, which is the prayers, the adkar, and the gratefulness, I want to add a side or two to complement what you said with some facts that are very interesting and that might seem really small, but for me they really make a difference, especially for people who are trying to connect more to God. And it's basically for me, like the secret is to try to anchor small reminders throughout the day. There's a very interesting fact I read about, which is in psychology, it's called habit stacking. And the idea is that if you want to keep on doing the same thing over and over again, it's very much advised to link it to something that you already do. So you want to connect more to God. This might sound really stupid, but it really isn't, because the idea, for example, every time you want to drink water, you say Bismillah. And every time you feel like you're nurtured, even saying Bismillah more than just, everything that was discovered lately, that the words have a huge impact on the water and on how the water becomes even on a physical level. It makes you feel more aware of the water you're drinking. And it's really a different thing. Like, please just, if you can do this, and just to be aware and say Bismillah, and to really feel like this water is nurturing your soul, like this changes everything. Like if you say Alhamdulillah, or even if like usually in the Islam world, we just say Bismillah before eating. But I see in old movies, I think Christians, and especially old Christians, I used to love how they would be around the table and say those prayers before eating. And I find it really amazing how much it shows gratefulness and how much it shows that like you share something and you raise awareness over things that you do on a daily basis. We always drink, we always have the ability to have water in our houses. Not everyone does. So linking dhikr to things that you do on a daily basis can be a really great way to connect more to God. It can be when you're going out of the house, there are adkar for this, but it can be very simple as Bismillah or La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, or just when you're having a moment and you just sit and put your hand on your heart and you try to connect with the istighfar. It can be like the advice I would give to actually try to have these things or these habits on a daily basis is to try to connect them to things that you already do. That way, you will be doing the same things, but you will add dhikr to it, which is going to make you more connected to God, and it's gonna increase your experience is gonna be way more interesting. So I think this would be something I wanted to share. And another thing that could be a motivation for people who want to start doing this is that consistency actually releases dopamine. So when your brain sees that you're doing things over and over again, for example, if you're really consistent about your salat, and if you're really consistent about your adkar, or every time you do something, you link it to a dhikr, you will feel happier. And I usually used to experience that and I never really could understand it. But you feel like your brain is calmer and you feel like you feel simple joy by just saying very simple things. And this, I think, is what makes regular acts of worship feel peaceful instead of heavy. And over time, the more you add these things, they will really feel like they're natural. And from there, you can start actually adding more things like today or this week. Definitely, it doesn't have to be daily. Like this week, I want to discover what God's name Al-Ghafur means. And each day I just tell myself I will make one research about it. Don't overwhelm yourself in the beginning because it will feel heavy, but you'll be like, I make one research. And now there is nothing easier than that. I'll just go to ChatGPT and ask, for example, to have all the ayat that has Ghafur and understand what does that mean, or Ar-Rahim or Ar-Rahman. And this week I engaged to do just one thing. Or for example, something I started to do lately, and uh, it's really good. It feels like recharging. Is to have some moments when you disconnect from everything, and for example, you just do istighfar. You put an alarm. You tell yourself, I'm going to do 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever, and I will not have access to anything, and I'll just close my eyes and connect to myself and just do istighfar. Like, I think our point is to stick to the basics, as Yasmin said, like salat and adkar and things that we need to be disciplined about, referring to Islam, and add very simple things to make you closer to God. Truly, and by experience, the simpler it is, the more connected you feel with God.